In this example, I'm going to show you how to distort an image. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to duplicate the background image. And the reason I do this is, one, so I have an original to go back to. But two, if I distort the copy, I can always merge it in a montage in some way or an opacity or something like that to the original. Let's hide the background. And I've saved the file as a PSD. This is very important. You need to save it as a PSD or a PSB. A PSB is for really big files, over 2 gigs. But a PSD will keep all the layers, all the effects, and all your adjustment layers all organized. You can obviously export it later as a JPEG or a PNG, but we're not going to do that here. So I'll do a quick save. Always maximize compatibility, always tick it, because this means when you import it into other applications, the most information will follow through. And normally what I do is I right mouse click on the name of the layer and I will convert this to a smart object. What a smart object does, it protects it, puts it in an envelope. You can distort the envelope and so the image gets distorted, but you can still go into the envelope to see the original image and adjust it if you want. So obviously we can go to plugins. Oh, sorry, not plugins. I've got plugins. Go into filter, blur, for example. And this is a smart blur, but I'll just play around, increasing the radius. And I can drag the preview. You can see how it's blurring. I can change the quality. I'll go high and you can see how it goes. And if I do OK, you can see it's taking a bit of time. And this will depend on the speed of your computer. And this is quite a large file as well. And it's going to create this as a separate item under the layer, which will happen hopefully soon. There we go. And let's have a look. Hide. See, this is the smart blur is obviously quite labor intensive, but I can hide or show it, enable it, disable it whenever I want. And it also has a layer mask. Well, it has a filter mask. You can see that underneath, and I can do more than one filter. Let's cancel that because it's taking too long. I can do more than one filter. So let's go to filter and I'll do a distort, and let's say a zigzag. And this is a bit quicker. And you can see how it goes. I can zoom out as well just to have a look. And there we go. Increase the amount, increase the ridges. There you go. Do OK. You see how it works. And if I show the background layer, I'm still on the top layer. I can reduce the opacity. So I can only have a small amount of the effect moving in, which works out quite nice. And I can have everything together as well. But there's something else you can do. You can go to image adjustments and you can distort the color or effects like that. And that's under adjustments. Now, all the adjustments here. So I can do a hue saturation and it comes up, you can see under the effects or smart filter layers, it comes up there, so I can change it. But most of the image adjustments, most of these here, actually also live as a separate layer at the bottom of the layers panel. Click on what I call the yin yang button, the half black, half white circle. And here we go, you see. And we have hue saturation, and it's a separate layer. And I can choose a color. Let's go to greens. I can muck around with them. See what we get. I can change the saturation and the lightness. Not a lot is changing because of the green I sort of chosen, but you can see it is in places. If I want to be specific, I can click on the eyedropper here and let's choose sort of a green here, bang, and that really changes it. But because it's a separate layer and it has a layer mask, but I can reduce the opacity of the layer to reduce the effect, which works out quite nice. And because I'm on the layer mask, B for brush, and let's put black as the foreground color. And let's choose a nice big brush, but let's choose a normal brush. So a soft round will do, but it's too small. So right square bracket key, make it nice and big. There we go. The left and right square bracket keys make the brush size bigger, smaller. And so click and drag, and you can see now I'm painting out the effect. And because it's a soft edge brush, if I increase the hardness to 100 and paint out there, you can see the difference. I get a much more severe border here compared to a more faded border there, which works out quite nicely. So whenever possible, I do an adjustment layer because I can duplicate the adjustment layer, and in one I can change the yellows, and the other I can change the blues, and the other I can change the reds, whatever I want to do. I can give them layer masks, I can fade the opacity, so I can distort the color and the brightness and the value in all sorts of ways, as well as, of course, I can click on a copy and use the various filters. If you have plugins like I have, I've got a couple of plugins here. One of them is the Infinite Color Suite, which is very, very good. But you may have extra plugins, or you can find extra plugins. Some are free, some are paid to give you more distortions as well. Let's duplicate the background copy. I don't care what to call it. And I will hide the others. And I don't want the smart filters. Let's put the opacity up to 100. And I don't want the smart filters. So clear. I just right mouse clicked on the word smart filters, clear smart filters. And what we can do now is go to filter, and we can go to liquify. And again, there we go. We're in a sort of different area now. And we have various tools and brushes, etc. But we're in a brush already. You can see here, this one in the top left, this is the warp. And let's use square bracket keys and click and drag. And you can see now we can get all sorts of effects. We can liquefy things, sizes. I can put a mask, which I haven't got. We can play around with all sorts of things. You can reconstruct, smooth things out. You can twist, pucker, bloat, which make things bigger, like, you know, like when you bloat your face, when you hold your lips together and blow, your cheeks bloat out, sort of thing, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a few here. This is very nice, by the way, if you have a person's face, particularly when it's facing the camera. There's a lot you can do. Photoshop will recognize facial features like nose, cheeks, chin, eyes, etc. And let's say I'm okay with this, and I do okay. And here we go. And here it is, liquefy. It's a separate object. I can just hide it and show it. And it works very well. And to the right of the effects, you can see it's under zigzag and smart blur. There's a tiny little options. And if I double click on that, I can choose the blending options for the effect. So I can reduce the effect, not the layer, but I can reduce the effect so it doesn't. There you go, you see. I can just do it a little. And I can also change the blending mode to something. Let's try and overlay, see what we get. And let's increase the opacity of the effect. And so you can see what we get. We get a nice sort of color variety here. But that's how you can distort images and the color and brightness values, etc., of an image in Photoshop. Notice, by the way, depending on the version of Photoshop you're in, if I go to the yin yang button, some new things have appeared here, like color brightness, grain. You might, or color vibrance, I should say. You may not have all these options here. And also notice, not everything in the yin yang button is under image adjustments. There may be a couple here that you don't get down here. So just be aware of that. If that's the case, then you just duplicate the layer, go to image, adjustments, do your thing. But if it's an adjustment under the yin yang button. I prefer it as an adjustment layer.